So thank you everyone for coming. Our special guest is Geshe Tashi Dorje from Saranay Monastery. Geshe is not only Geshe, which is like PhD, but he's Larunpa Geshe, which is like high-level PhD, highest level. So he's gracious to visit us and teach us, and I'm sure we all appreciate it. And it's a very important teaching that he's going to do, the 7 steps to Bodhichitta. Actually 6 steps, and Bodhichitta is the result. So if you follow the 6 steps, then you can get the result. So it goes back to Atisha, probably earlier than that, but Atisha taught it a lot, and Jetsamtara and Gelugpa Lamas taught this system. Probably of the other Tibetan Buddhist sects also. But it's very precious, so keep your ears open. And that's about it. I'm going to record if no one minds. Anybody mind if I record? Okay. And I think we're making a video.
Firstly, I want to request.
Yeah, Tenzin Gelek is our great translator, so we should all be appreciative. Somebody with English and Tibetan and Dharma, that's pretty good.
So, firstly I will request, then I talk to a few minutes my broken English. So, firstly I want to say good evening, my Dharma brother and sister. I'm so happy. Then I have to get opportunity also, discuss about Dharma in 3 jewels. Last year I also came here, but we met somebody. Yes, a lot of people. Yeah, I'm so happy. Then today we discussed 7 steps to achieve Bodhichitta. Bodhichitta. So I hope then everybody going to a happy life, also happiness. Then all suffering they're going to outside without outside. Then you became soon as a Bodhichitta, I hope. Yeah. Thank you. Then my broken English is finished. And then so then telling us that the you Dorje the and that much than it Nara Sunju came as in Tangasana Shudro in San Samalata, Mazu to the Dorje chair about in Aranchik. So when it Kewasam in Raw and so when it Loma Mudin Lama Jewish in Kundun touch. She had the Shingo Marina and touching. Those of the Yamachik, Shimbadi, and number 2 Yamachik. Shabji Ravalan Maragawishu Chung.
I'm very happy to be here and discuss about the Dharma. I do not consider this as a teaching Dharma, but rather to have an interactive discussion and to share some of the trainings and the teachings that I received from many lamas and masters, Geshe, who are very kind. And so I'm really here to doing a Dharma service rather than kind of bestowing you with the teaching. So we'll begin with taking refuge, generating Bodhichitta mind, offering mandala to really accumulate merit for our good causes. This is also a normal practice, as all of you would know.
Then firstly we take in process mandala, short mandala. Then today I take the chanting master. Yeah. Then after 3 refuge, then we start. Okay.
We start with the mandala.
Yeah, mandala. Then start little singing. It is okay?
Yes. So I'll begin our discussion teaching with renunciation. This is because in the twin principle path, the teaching Lama Tsongkhapa mentioned, the essence of the path to enlightenment is first of all the renunciation, and then the generation of a bodhicitta mind, followed by the perfect wisdom, emptiness of the perfect view. And so without having these as a kind of backbone of our practices, we will not really get further. And as some of you would know, in the three principles in teaching, Lama Tsongkhapa started his the teaching by emphasizing how important the renunciation, the practice of renunciation is. And therefore, I would like to discuss briefly about the meaning and and also the categories of renunciation, followed by 2 minutes meditation. We agreed before that as we go through the teaching, we will implement a meditation immediately. And when you have a teaching and followed by meditation, so your teaching becomes much more effective, because you'll be reasoning while you're engaging in this teaching.
Can you hearing this, everybody? Thank you. Ta te son za dan dong zo ni jung la ni chidan ni chue la ni de ka de se na so chue sa ma de chue mu do la chue ma de chue song de ka de se na so sem ji to ju dang go ro sem ji to ni ju dang go ina ya no so ta pa ma yi ta ma cho na ne ma ki yu de chidan ni sem la ni de thoma me ba ne ta sem ji rang shi we se wo ti ma no lo bo sum ba na shi sem de rang shi ji we so wa di sa re se ro te yin zang 치수 담아서 니모 도숨 경원지 아니 셈라 발레바 슈로 치마디 슈베 원지 담아서 지 담이시와 망보 연대다 아니 마줄라 다 니모 도숨 경원지 퍼질라 다 칼로다 콘도 사야다 나저 사야다 차도 사야다 딘디 경원지 소월레바 있어야 쓰네로.
So when we talk about renunciation, we're talking about dharma. So dharma in Tibetan terminology, basically it has the connotation of transform. The word chu, what we know today as a dharma, and when you trace the origin of that word, it comes from the verb transform. So for us, then, the meaning of dharma is really to transform. So what are we transforming? Basically, you would know that when, as a Buddhist, we look at the concept of mind when we look at the origin of the mind or the nature of the mind. And we believe that our kind of the innate quality of the mind is a clear light. It's kind of a stainless, this purity, the clear light. This is the innate quality of our mind. So what happened is that this stainless mind is afflicted with afflictions such as anger, attachment, and desire, and so on. And so that kind of causes all this delusion. As a result, the misconception or the wrong view, followed by getting us into a lot of suffering. So here it's really very important to know that the innate quality of our mind is pure and is a stainless.
Dorje kondo nyamo tusum ji onji ta kondo sayada ta ngajel sayada chagdo sayadi zawa khandele warsena ani zawa danjile le bare senero ta zawa danjile meba soba ina koranje yaga ta nyamo tusum da mijo wachula so chana meba sotu wa inza zawa danjile meba masoena ani miji ba inza ta zawa danjile khandele meba so sena ta zawa danjile tarela ta karegi tabdu sena ta nyejo magena 아니 자와 단지 코와들레다 코에 자와래 타다 메바인자다 제르부제 토마델라다 다 예중시고였다 남존남존은 예중시고였다 더 저거데 디사레스네 근데 손자 다 당보 예중시 예중데야 예버 중화스메데 가르스는 코와라 예버 중화로 코와라 이교와 인자다 예버 중 코와라 이교다한테 간데스는 코비 코와팅이 동을 이랑시 뭐 이고를 뭐도 코에 대와 다 내급이 대와들었다 차대보이나 아니 코알라 네버 중에 자원이요 말에 코알레 탈비 타레큐니요 말에 코알레 마타나 아니 텔레 탈비 타발랑이디 마스 토베큐니요 말에 했으니.
So our mind is affected or afflicted with attachment, desire, and the misconcept, and as a result we go through a lot of suffering. So in order to really eliminate this suffering, in order to overcome this very kind of the problem that we go through, we have to get to the root of the problem. And so what is really the causes of samsara, all other sufferings, all of all these afflictions? And Lama Tsongkhapa identified, like any other Buddhist master, is the self-grasping. I think the nature. This self-grasping side of the our mental affliction causes all this problem. So this becomes the cause. And so without really addressing that issue, you cannot really talk anything about enlightenment and liberation. When we talk about liberation, what are we liberating from? That is like a self-grasping, that put us into the samsara. So we have to know the nature of the self-grasping. And in order to really tackle this self-grasping, the first thing we have to know is that we are in samsara because we have the self-grasping. As a result of the self-grasping, we are clinging to or attaching to all these kind of phenomena and objects and people in the samsara. And so that's where our first discussion about the renunciation is becoming more important. What are we renouncing? We are not renouncing happiness. We are not renouncing some genuine happiness and to try to kind of deny the reality on the ground. We are not actually. We do not kind of pretend, that there is a suffering, and we try to avoid it. That's not the case, because if you look at the nature of samsara or the world, itself is causes or the result of suffering coming through the self-grasping, and for that reason we have to overcome this. And one important, the beginning step is to see the problem, to see the samsara is a problem. Where does the samsara come from? Through our self-grasping. And so having this recognition is very important. And Lama Tsongkhapa mentions in the three principles the path, right at the beginning, the fault of the samsara.
chidane suda suyena drowa suda suyena ige to busin sunjene ta ige mi pardo ani dewa deva da dungal medeva de chisung sare senro tesa dewa ta dewa deva da dungal medeva chisung yena ta dewa de khandis dubore senro dewa dubela thap kare to nega bi dewa di ngaso dewa na la pingi mindoro me beba kare sena shego dewa na gonda dungal chadore tene gonda dewa jille bayina sanyi shigo dungal ji ngor gyur dwaita kowe dewa dela an kaza iten kyuni bindo seneta tene zata dewa ngoma de khandes gorna ta sanyi ji koban topna ta tendu dewa de toba inza ta ngaso ige ta tendu dewa tobela ya gyudan kenshine tobore mato ani gyume kimele chume tendu dewa de meba inza ta gyume kimele chume tendu dewa de meba inza ta tambo 초 고다 이게 텐도 되어 토비기 최대 간에 고주고 쓰나 다 통마들랑 것도 최치에 삼로 코레디 또 소소이 치워메다고 고메디 개침보지 인사를 쓰려고 치워메다고 공단들라야한테니 소보 개치주 최제다 마실라야 돼 소소 삼로나로 최제 이 삼로래다 소소 미다고 임바디 당보 두고 서로 소소 미다고 임바 공단들라야 아니 김세 숨 삼로 다니로 미다고 공단들라 아니 치와 녀바체로 소소 미딩이다 겨와 렌스니 치와 녀바체 아니 치에 되나야 남친 녀메체 가두시다 가두시 하고 뭐죠 남친 녀메체 다 남친 녀메에서 다 시위값도 가래기 핑계를서나 최모도 미편바디 다 양양 공부였어 여러분 치위값도 다 치와 녀바체 남친 녀메체 아니 치위값도 최모도와 간지야 미편바 대인상 대군에다 삼로라 양재한테 딱제 제바인바이나 신에다 오호 다 아주 미밀을 단다 하고 세나 산이 시시바래 오다 최마지나 디기면도 다 최지 마주나마도 니 사원이 디기면도 니 텐저기 추추비도 밀리디 렘바디 다 사원이 디기면도 세니 다 삼로 양양들이 돈이 로 공바이바이나 되니 추치엘다 남들나 먼저로 답변나 먼저 단다 제르무시 파르스노에 사나 단다 마예 람조 남조나라 테드라 콤베 쿠베 푼졸라 이메 기제자면 미게시 인생군다 타바 튜뉴로 조나 테세 예준께 와라 선다 예준께 비체디 인생군도다 타바 튜뉴로라다 양생양세다 베나 딘데진 서라 페샤웨나 때나 미지 남다 셈라칸이 유비 미지 바 예데바이나 톱스레 이체유디 셈라 남am시 오디 남달레 티칸이디 가두 타란스니 로질리기도 알라 오 딘데 로디 깨나 아니 신예중 라니디다 라뉴레 깨바니 사레스
So this nature of samsara is suffering, and when we look at in our ordinary life, we look at suffering, happiness. Basically, the suffering and the happiness that in the kind of samsara level. Everyone pursue after happiness. Everyone try to avoid suffering in this samsara. But then the happiness that we pursue in the samsara is also very conditional. One have a quite a happy day in the morning and then have a really miserable afternoon. So you can see it's not reliable. And also we are conditioned. So what we considered as a happiness for one person may not be the same for another person. So this like try to define a samsaric happiness. It's no longer reliable, and there's no kind of a long-lasting quality in that happiness that we always kind of dying to accomplish. On the other hand, if we are able to get enlightenment, if we're able to liberate from the samsara, and that I think is kind of a happiness is much more long-lasting. It's kind of a more secure. Once you attain that quality, it's always there with you. It's no longer conditioned by others. And so, for that reason, as a Buddhist practitioner, we were really chasing after the happiness, which is different from what we consider ordinary happiness that we day to day pursue. And so, in order to really get the inspiration to go after that happiness, and what we really need to do is we need to see the fault of the samsara. We need to see how we are conditioned, including the fragility of our bodies, including the nature of the impermanence. And therefore, to really get us what you call the kickstart, for us to go after that everlasting happiness, is to see the problem we are in. And there are, of course, so many problems. And one of the kind of the main problem that we have is the nature of impermanence. Because in Lamrim teaching as well as in Lamrim Tsongkhapos, when we look at the nature of impermanence, we look at the three facts. First thing is we are all going to die, the certainty of the death. No one can really overcome that nature. We are really falling victim, almost like, under that spell. And not only that, when we are going to die, it's also not certain. There is this really kind of unpredictability of how long you're going to last. You know, it may come today or tomorrow. And Geshe is saying some people live in the morning, pass out in the evening. And that's really, again, the fault of the samsara and our condition. And then if we know that we're going to die, we're not sure when we are, it may come soon or later. And knowing that fact itself doesn't really help us very much. What we have is when you die, what's going to help you? What quality will there be really for you to make good use of the life? It's only Dharma. the quality of the Dharma and the knowledge that you attain is the only resource for you going to help you when you die. And for that reason, in our the practices, that the meditation on the nature of impermanence and the death becomes a very, I think, essential part of our practices. Why? Because this really becomes the causes for you to go there and practice Dharma. That's what we are kind of meditating on that. As Lama Tsongkhapa mentioned in the three principle text, that knowing the death is there, knowing that there's no kind of essential everlasting meaningfulness in the samsara, and knowing all these problems, then we really get aspiration to get out of here and to attain the liberation. And this is a very relevant teaching because, for example, when someone going through a quite significant stress for whatever reason, and while the person's even sleeping, and he kind of sees the stress and try to find a solution, saying, I have to get out of this problem. And we all do that. We sometimes wake up and get up in the middle of the night and try to find a solution for our immediate problem. Likewise, when we really get a deeper sense of the nature of the impermanent message, then we do not make effort to practice Dharma. It will come to us. Because you have that kind of stress saying, I have to do it, I cannot waste time. For that reason, the practice of the impermanence is very important and very useful for you.
Tende songzang tanda mitabo gomzu de la tanda tsemba sum shebe nane ani chiwa nyeba namshi nyeme an shiwe kapsu ani chema do kanyi me pemba de kanire sana de mama isare pena tanda Geshe tome samwe zebe tanda laleng sumde manwa dine songdowa yuri drobe zashe sosor tel ani kaza yuri drobe zashe sosor tel ani yuri drobe zashe sosor tel kaza itada drobe I'm sorry I yuri drobe zashe sosor tel yuri drobe zashe sosor tel yuri drobe zashe sosor tel bebe drobe norze shudu lurawa lugi droga namshi drobe war sedilo na Geshe lale yin sumba na shirwa di insarawa pena ta sosor la gyubenjara kazu yoyene ta shibi kapsu an di chadang yuni dwayare rawa pama pinja nye kazu selgung kazu yoyene chadang yuni dwayare tamadila sosor gita tulo yinche ya ta yuni dwayare wa pena pe karaja senema lugi droga namshi drobe war pena miji droga na la dewa yibayina ta droga di shani sosor dogi de modo droga nimdo kye kyune mindo asini deza kye di karzena namshi yeki dwayare choma do mindo senera denza lugi droga namshi drobe war sedilo ta Geshe lale yin suye de ta sedilo tangsa de sula lo tangore senata chokona lo tangore modo ta pama pe ni de sosor gabo gamo da ta gyu penjor ta gyu no lonje da zawani ne me pemba de ta drobe so densare denza ngaso tanda tada shiwe ko so chome to me pemba yin ta chechela chechegi samloji ko bole samloji karjanza ta ngaso chiwa metawa gomgo에 개천 보시고 있어요. 처음에 답아디 곰투바 임바이나 딱 아니 코에 딱 갈러다. 처음에 답아디 곰투바 있나 안 소소라 시에게 남다질래. 시에게 남다질래 바 임바이나 아니 코에 동을이 라시 임바하고 코에 동을이 라시 돼 임바하고나 딱 코알에 타나마도 디미도 삼네테네 초라 야야야야다 소소로 뒤져 까만 찍래 매바 있나야 뒤져 뛰네다 최 냠레 치고에다 몸게야다 tö바치에다 삼바치에다 딱 인데다 셈나 곰지 숙청을 리기 있어야겠네. 근데 손장 가서 딱 통만들라 탄다. 맞아 탄다. 곰게야디 치와미 타바디 곰 삼로탄 치와미 타바 곰단이 칸데레스나 어딘데 숨으로 아니 간조 탄다. 코란조 tradi지이지 아니 예 슈미슈미지 남바 탄다 틴젤라이 순주나니 나이도다 기준나니 나이 체셔와는 코란조 삼로탄에 치와메더라 담보 딜라가조 미타바 곰기 있으니 미타바 곰단들라 삼바 숨 삼로탄 치와냐바체 남신님의체 어디니다 남신님의 치와냐바니보디 개조주 차거자로 어디니 딱 아주 까마 숨쉬도 되네 딱 로라 또마 컴퓨터기 있으니
And so, as I mentioned before, the meditation on the nature of impermanent has become really relevant because we are all Dharma practitioners here. And when you have a very strong, I think, a reminder in your mind about the death and impermanent, and that become, I think, the forces, almost like the energy behind pushing you into Dharma practices. And you remember the Geshe Sambu's 37 Bodhisattva practices. He also mentioned as part of the stanza there that the conditions are basically already determined by our death. When we die, we have to leave everything behind. We leave our beloved one. We have to leave our wealth and properties. We also even have to leave the body. And he used the word body as a guest house. He's saying this is a temporary guest house, like a traveler leaving the guest house behind when he travels. When we die, we have to leave our body even behind. And then when that kind of events take place, the practice of the Dharma is going to come to your aid. And so for this reason, as I mentioned before, we're going to, during our meditation, contemplative meditation, and on the nature of impermanence. And I would start maybe giving you a piece of teaching, and you can do the meditation. So what we're going to meditate here is the certainty of death, and then the uncertainty about when that's coming to. The first two reasons is the most powerful one. Once you have this first two reasons really immersed in your mind stream, the third one then come naturally. When you die, then only Dharma is going to help you. So we do that. And for example, when people who practice the impermanence really well, and they naturally have this anxiety, oh my God, I'm going to die, and I even do not know when I'm going to die. And when you get that message, then you start thinking, I must do my practice, I must do it now. And then you will focus your energies on studying, contemplation, and meditation, so on. So that comes naturally. So we will start by meditating on the nature of impermanence.
Gom Japtan de Langazo, Chitane, Luigi Gom, Simji Gom, E. Sam Tango, said Joa. Tachitane, Luigi Gom, number the Tan Uni Yoga, said the way in the Luigi Gom Yoga, the Luigi Gom Chechuan, Sarroa. And I, the Luigi Gom, the Simji Gom, Niganata, Simji Gom, the Cheche, Sarroa. In a Luigi Gom, where we said Tangazo, Yoga said the Samu Apotana, Simji Gom, like Pingy said, Pena Carasena. 그래서 내가 가르쳐봐야는 수고 탕부지 대바인바이나 아니 내가 가르치는 루트바로 추 가르치는 루트바 밀라 가르 편도치네 루트바인자 또 루기 탕부 매바인바이나 아니 다 되는 도다 직과 차들이 가르치고 삼난의 템바이나 소도 제모도 바인다 루기 공대 개치고 인사로 이 인바디 가르치는 뭐 이게 단다디 십자반을 가르치는잖아 아야 되어지 가인서는 류네 다들 통역이 대단해요. 대송자가 송도와. 저번에 류네 사진일이 공부를 다나시 따고 했으니로. 류네 다들 통역 대단해야 되나 안 될라 송접 제시와 왔으니. 팀대 일은 소외나 텔레서는 전부 제했으니다. 가인들은 소수 류디 야고저 소토바 임바야나 뭐네 추 양수 야고 링이나 텔라데네다. 소놈지도 수림 양보송 나 수림지 시 샤볼 때네 아니다. 예종 차선양다 베다와다데 단다 소놈지도 이 시기 초사니 다 개발하면서 초사니 아니 산지 공원 다 주베 탑디 소 가서 류라가래 되자스네로 류 탐보 매바이나 미주바 인사 파발라기 간서나 류네다다 투명이 대단하게 대송자 팀내 일은 소외나 텔레소는 전부 제 숨어나시다 류디의 개정보 인사래 대이 나네다 샘지 곰디다 샘로 유저나 개정보 대이 나네야 샘 개주시 인사래 대이다 가서다 소버 테링 가서 이 삼로 타야디 샘 유토네 gyurcho dogodu midoro tine ta namchingi me tinane shingire inaya kadushi hagu maresinero kadushi daga hagu mara simla ngamra jili ngamra lenata karegi tone ngamra meba sotu goresena ta chogi tone ngamra meba sotu gores o dineji gombashi an dinane ngaso jela kamani zum soso samnang la kareko godoro an toba yuni chada samana la nyana 안젤라 먼저 추지 차가 있단다. 지워질래 걸라 먼저 간두셔도 막 칼로르단 돌리냐 야 보이냐겠다. 칼로르 저치기 있으니라.
So when we talk about meditation, there are two types of meditation. One is a physical meditation, a yoga and so on, and then the other one is spiritual or the meditation of a mind. And I think both are really important. Regarding the physical meditation, you all are very familiar with yoga. It's really important because without having a healthy body, you will not have a healthy mind. So a lot of us really pay attention to our physical meditation, and rightly so. I think you did it correctly. As Aryadeva mentioned in the 400 standards of the Madhyamaka text, he's saying that although we see body as an object of a desire and it should be seen as the nature of the dirtiness and so on, although we see body as a subject to be investigated, but then at the same time it's so important to protect it. Because by using body as a vehicle for us, really engage in the Vijnana practices, as a result accumulating a lot of merit, which lead us to a further realization. Therefore, knowing the body, that it can provide you all these wonderful energies, is so important to take good care of it. For that reason, we're talking about the physical yogas. They're really important, and we should continue our practices. Above all, also the taking care of our mind is very important too, because it is the mind which really attains the enlightenment. And for that reason, when we meditate on the nature of impermanence, we do so with reasoning our mind and really try to get a good sense about what is really this nature of impermanence is like. When you feel that death coming into you, what do you feel about? When you feel this anxiety and stress, and then you also at the same time have aspiration to really overcome this fear, and then you know only the attainment of the Dharma qualities, the teachings, that will come to your aid. And so that's what we're going to do. At the end of, if you have any doubt, any reflections and feedback, you can jot them down. At the end of the session today, we have a few minutes of a question and answer where we can discuss some of your reflections.
number 2 sort of ina tadi inji minji ta chidani da chetuna yagore ina ta sosoma tanda bonglo towo peding and ta ngasoro ngada ngada soro ta kamba never yungi dozula inji minji ta dinde kamba kidunda doje kidunda lapa nyamsha da dinde inji minji shuwe nyaba samare ro dinde so soso gita shudan la dinde khazo delo duro delo la dinde ro dinang shana tisare sine ro ta namna ni chudin suyo sungore ani kaza kamba kidun ani lapa nyamsha ani Geshe ta thangbo sungba ani diba chungse buba ani mignazer phaba ani kaza che ikindi anala charwa kaza che dege ta kala kenla charwa sungsha re sine ro inji mije dinde ta chegwe nyaba yosamane sine ro inda khani sama sosoje khang delu is ngone ta gomjaba yimbena semla to lugi tsari inaere semje ta nedan inaere samlo soso khang miksa gi yuljido mipo gomsa gi yuldela ta khaju dede ta sem doye gi kebaro yosare senero ina subu yongwe namato ne uzo gyabde ba ina long langro re modo phaji yuldi la du re sen Tende sonda sosoje khare dele na ro and tende nangsha na se
regarding position for our meditation session, of course, we've heard, also even studied, is how important it is to have this seven posture, the seven Varashana posture, Varashana posture, and people talk about advantage, how important it is. Of course, there are certain reasons, advantage for doing so if you can, but that's not the most important part. The most important part is here you're practicing a meditation, a particular meditation you're doing. So what is most important here is make sure you're comfortable. When you're not comfortable and try to concentrate on certain postures, and you lose the kind of your contemplation while making effort on your body posture, and sometimes you even get frustration, and so it kills the whole purpose. So make sure you're comfortable, and that's what most important is for now.
다 딘데 선상에서 탄다 담보들라 까마 나로와 나기린가 아니 가서 다 치워미다 공기 있어요. 치워미다 공백을 인심지 까만가 인심지 공고요 말 검투고에는 검나에는 다 세만나 땅들리기 민들 남도 다메를 리기드네 팔로에 땅도 르땅야 데라 삼로지땅 오 딘데시 나로 치즈네 툴로마들 우즈모 뭐 잡되는 데네 룽파레 냥 같은 거래서 가만히 있어요.
So first we're going to meditate on the nature of impermanent or the nature of a death, and we do it for Geshe said 5 minutes. I request him to reduce to 2 minutes. I'm embarrassed. Maybe I have a problem more than 2 minutes. And initially you have a problem concentrating, placing your mind on the subject, and don't really be too rigid. When it's really having a problem to kind of gather your thought, let it go and then try to start again. Still have a problem, let it go. Do not force it. Do not be rigid. 2 minutes. Starting now.
디네지 나오지. 디네다 맞아 추와 미다고 곰베 갑라로와. 아니 소소 있다 코위 동안도서 양양 공부시 했으니라 코위 동안. 배나 도와주려 동안 만나면 여러와. 디나 밀라에 동안 가지. 오 디데 동안도서 양양 삼로다. 아주 동안을 탈바디 땅이 처음에 세나냐 동안을 탈투서 말했으니 오 디네지 소소 용원에 미과 가릴라 야가도 다 검샤와이나 다 추와미다가 다가 펜조서 했으니라.
While you're contemplating on the death or the nature of a death or impermanence, also try to contemplate on the nature of the suffering, the nature of the suffering in samsara, the nature of the suffering among human beings, because we're more familiar with it. And as you really contemplate on this nature of suffering, and then you see that we have to get out of it, or we have to overcome this suffering. So you may get some urge really to practice Dharma.
Yeah. Okay, then we can start. Only 2 minutes. Thank you. And then this time we take 15-minute break. That's good. 15-minute break.